Hello, this is Craig Parkin again, and the second of our YouTube presentation. Tonight, what I wanted to talk about was about how to turn life into a game. It's my contention that it is a game, and if you look at what makes something a game, it's the belief that you could lose. In other words, if you knew you would always win, it wouldn't be a game. So if you think about it, what is the lowest common denominator to make something a game? It's the belief that you could lose. So the very things in your life that you're most concerned about, the things that drive you the most crazy, are actually where the golden part of your energy and ability and vitality is. I remember one television show that had a huge impact on me. It was called The Twilight Zone. And it showed this man robbing a bank, and then he's climbing this wall, and you hear bang, bang, bang. The next thing, he wakes up in this amazing casino. And this guy walks over to him and says, "Welcome." The guy says, "Wow, fancy place you have here." And the man said, "Would you like to gamble?" And he said, "Yeah, but I don't have any money." The man said, "No problem." And he gave him lots of money. And he gambled, and every time he gambled, he won. And after a while, he was kind of bored, big stacks of money. And he said, "Do you have any women around here?" And the guy goes, "Sure, how many would you like?" He goes, "3." And 3 beautiful women come on his arm. And every time they gamble, they win. And after a while, he gets very bored. And finally, he says to the guy, "Do you have any banks up here?" The guy goes, "Yes, absolutely." He goes, "Could I rob one?" The guy says, "Oh, absolutely. Now, would you like to be caught? Or would you like not to be caught?" And the guy says, "What? I think you're missing the whole point of what I'm trying to do here. And besides, I led a terrible life. What am I doing in heaven?" And the guy said, "Oh, this isn't heaven." Because if you think about it, it would be absolute hell to have no challenge in your life. I can't tell you how many people that I've known that inherited large sums of money, were trust fund kids, had everything. They were so unhappy because they were always trying to prove themselves. But every time they got into a jam or something, they needed to learn something, they couldn't because the money just flowed in and they could erase any problem with money. And they really had no equilibrium. So I'd like you to look in your own life and see that the very things that you're challenged by, that you want to be able to, I want to travel, I want more money, I want a nicer car, I want a nicer house, all of those. This is your game pieces. This is the part where you get to make it a game. And what I'd like you to know is that you already won, okay? Do you remember when you were a sperm? Because there was 400 million of you, and all in a race, and you won, okay? Getting to be here is a privilege. It's an amazing event that can really challenge you. Of course it's going to challenge you. I don't know anyone who has everything exactly the way that they want it, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But you have to look at the way you're playing the game. And I like to play games where when I win, and if I lose, I try to learn something and gain from it. And there's something that I memorized because I liked it so much, and it fits right with what we're talking about tonight. And it's called the Master Game. And for me, like I do affirmations, I've always done it, I really believe in it. When you memorize something, it becomes part of your being and it operates in your unconscious. So it's something that I read by a guy by the name of Robert Duropp, and it's called the Master Game. And I changed it around a little bit, which you could probably tell. But anyway, it goes like this. Seek above all for a game worth playing, such as the advice from the oracle to modern man. Having found the game, play it with intensity. Play as if your life and sanity depend upon it. For in fact, it does depend upon it. Follow the example of the French existentialist and banish a banner bearing the word engagement, though nothing means anything and all roads are marked exit. Move as if your movements had purpose. For surely it must be clear, even to the most clouded of intelligence, that any game is better than no game. But although it is safe to play the master game, this has not served to make it popular. It still remains the most difficult and demanding of games. And in our society, there are few who play. For modern man, hypnotized by the glitter of his own gadgetry, has little contact with his inner world, concerns himself mainly with outer space, not inner space. But the master game is played entirely in the inner realm, a vast and complex territory, the windows of which look out on eternity and infinity. Here it is sufficient to say that the master game can never be made easy to play. It demands a person's entire resources, both physical and spiritual. And if you try and play it half-heartedly, or you try to get results by unlawful means, you run the risk of destroying your own potential. For this reason, it is better not to embark on the game at all than to play it half-heartedly. The player in today's society lives in a culture which is more or less totally opposed to the aims that he has set for himself, and considers its players queer or slightly mad. Thus, he confronts great opposition, which could have a tendency to bring his game to a halt, except for the fact that the player of the master game must, and I repeat, must remember, without the opposition, there would be no game. So I invite you all to look at the things that you view as your opposition in your life. Oh, I don't have enough, whatever, and say, oh, how can this be a game where I'm actually living into a future that I really want? And I want you to know that I totally believe that you can do this. And the first step is acceptance and gratitude for where you are right now. The way to appreciate who you are, to appreciate in value, is to appreciate what you have and who you are. Also, I would really like to invite you to comment. I'm really having fun with the people that have written, and it's really very generous when you comment and you share yourself and you open yourself up. And I know from the things that I've heard that it's really helping other people when you share from your heart and give me a chance to respond and to have a dynamic dialogue, because that's what we're all about. On this channel, we're going to have topics that fit right in with what we're talking about now. And I'm hoping that you will stay and that you will also let your friends know about it, because the more people that we can get the word out to, the better it is for everyone. Thank you for being here tonight.